Hello, welcome to AI in Action. My name is Maurie. I'm here with my husband Jim, and happy Sunday evening. We are sitting here in our living room with blankets. It's still very, very cold here in Texas, and we're doing what we do every single Sunday evening. We are sitting down and talking about artificial intelligence.
We need to get a hobby.
I really enjoy talking about AI, so you just need to hush. You started it a while ago, and you got me hooked.
It's my hobby, so I'm okay with it.
You've created a monster. So we're going to talk about just the latest news reports, and we're going to talk about some personal experiences that I've had this past week with some of these things that we're about to talk about.
Well, the number one thing that everyone thinks, it's 2024.
And
it's that time.
It's election
We've
year.
all been dreading. looking forward to it, which is the 2024 election year. So we thought we would start out with this headline, how OpenAI is approaching 2024 worldwide elections.
Yes. And so what they're doing is they are basically putting up guardrails. And they're doing it to prevent abuse, and they're providing transparency on AI-generated content. Now, for a long time, I get on Midjourney a lot, and you can ask it to do a picture of someone famous, and it will generate pictures of people that are famous. This actually happened the other day. I put a picture of you in ChatGPT-4, which is the OpenAI, and I said I need an avatar of this person, because I always do AI generated things on all of our presentations. I have an avatar myself, and I don't want to put my picture up there because I just don't want to, but it came back immediately, which it had never done before.
Yep.
And it said it could not use an actual image and produce something else with that image, with that likeness of a human.
I think that's new. I have never tried that.
I put our pictures in.
But did you use Dolly or did you use Midjourney? Because you were using Dolly this time with ChatGPT.
Maybe.
So the question is this new? They say here in this article, it's all about AI generated content. It kind of makes sense that they don't want you putting real people's pictures in there now and generating things from those, because where does it stop? You were just trying to do an avatar, but you could easily imagine if they allow that it could go beyond just an avatar and do something else.
Yes.
So I can kind of understand where they're limiting that. The question is, and maybe somebody can post a little comment.
No, I'm going to have to do it tomorrow. I am going to have to take that same image, just like I did the Taylor Swift, ask all the AIs about the Taylor Swift and who she's dating.
Put in other AIs, but there's not that many that can generate images.
Other image generators like Midjourney, and I'm going to see.
Now, you could do it Midjourney because you've done it in Midjourney. So
in the past.
The question so if that's changed,
has that changed?
I bet it hasn't. I think it's a guardrail they just put up. That's what OpenAI did.
Well,
they know they're going to get all kinds of flack already from what's going. It's funny to give them so much flack about it when you look at what's on social media and the outright lies that people put on social media. It's kind of almost hypocritical to say that suddenly the AI is the biggest enemy we have. I guess because what it generates seems so real, which is different. Social media, you could post a picture of somebody else, but if you're going to edit the picture,
it's taking deep fakes to a whole new level.
It does do that. I read the other day that the amount that OpenAI is saying they're going to have a hard time getting clean data, even if they wanted to train newer models from the internet, because AI is generating so much garbage now that they don't. It's literally flooding the internet with useless information. Or it's not just that it's misinformation, it's useless, like content free kind of stuff. Or you can tell if someone, when you and I write articles, we've wrote a book, written articles, we use AI, but we write the stuff ourselves and use AI like an editor.
A guy I follow on LinkedIn just posted, apparently he's getting some flack about using AI to help him edit. And I'm like, look,
no, I use it to edit.
I had to post back immediately and say that you use the tools you have.
There's a difference between using them to edit and using them to generate the content. You and I always start out with generating our own. I mean, we may use it as like an
Outline,
outline, but then
ideas,
we start filling in
brainstorm.
the stuff with our own words. And even when AI edits it, because I find that even when we know a lot about prompting, and even when I prompt it right, I still find the writing to be just not our style.
Right.
So
But you know
that's why
what?
we edit
I
it.
might not change every sentence that it gives
Of
me
course
whenever
not.
it says, hey, you should change this, or this sounds really professional this way. I might agree with it. I might say,
Exactly.
absolutely,
That's
that's
the
a
point.
great word to
We
use.
can't afford an editor. I mean, we have to edit it. We're either editing
I,
ourselves or we're using
I
AI.
made a comment to you today that we needed to get an agent, and I
Yeah.
think I was told, no.
We work at a school district.
Oh, well.
So, anyway, moving along,
Yes.
it's going to be an interesting year and
I'm
maybe
not,
not in a good
I'm
way.
not looking forward to it.
I'm not particularly. This we talk about a lot. And I think the sentence that's the most important part is this sentence right here. So, I'll let you start with this one.
The article is AI will transform the global economy. Let's make sure it benefits humanity.
We should say where we're getting this from.
And yes,
IMF.org. I don't know what
yes.
that is, but anyway,
Well, it's an article. It's January 14th, so not
fairly
very
recent.
old. And it talks about how we need to be careful to balance, need a careful balance of policies to tap its potential, and about how it's going to affect almost 40% of the jobs around the world.
Well, interestingly enough, Davos or whatever it's called, that thing in Switzerland where all the rich people and politicians get together and talk about things. I think they said 1 in 4
Yes,
of
25%.
these people there that are all the head of industries, and they said it's going to impact
Jobs.
1 in 4 jobs. It's going to be impacted by it. This says 40% of the jobs around the world. I don't think anybody really knows. I think they're all guesses.
Well, it said replacing some and complementing others.
I hope it does more complementing than replacing.
Yes.
But at the same time, there is a lot of instances in the past where new technology came in and it replaced it. Like if you were a typewriter repair person, when personal computers came along, you didn't have a long time. There's still typewriters. There are still people that probably repair typewriters, but it's certainly not very common anymore because it got replaced by computers and printers. Throughout history, there's instances over and over again of this happening. I don't know if AI is going to be worse or just different.
I think it's just going to be different. And I think it's just another huge leap forward in an industry, in a change in the world. I cannot see that the human race is going to just say, oh, well, I'm done because AI is here, and therefore I'm not going to go retrain myself and learn a new skill. I know people who have retired from industries before because technology stepped in.
My grandfather was a mechanic, and he retired in the early 70s, 60s timeframe because they were transferring, all the cars were going from a generator to an alternator, which was DC to AC.
Yes.
He didn't want to learn it.
But he just retired, whereas a lot of people.
And my dad took over.
And that's why it's a new generation. It's a new generation.
And then when did my dad retire? Remember, I built him the first time he ever used one.
Right.
Computers.
It was a computer that you could plug it in underneath the dash, and it would.
He didn't like computer controls in cars. He tried to adapt to it, but he just couldn't and didn't really want to. He could have. He didn't want to. But I built him an interface and showed him how to use it. Kept him going for a couple more years. It was a college project I did. I built him an interface where he could get codes out of cars.
You actually sold a few of those.
I did sell a few of those.
Always trying. We're always trying.
Always trying.
Always trying to sell something.
What I wanted to put a plug in for this is this thing we talk about all the time. When you talk about balancing policies, in my mind, I'm always thinking of that digital divide.
Yes.
We talk about it all the time. I think you were just...
I was just on LinkedIn, and there was a person I follow, and very insightful man. He's an executive at Study Hall. And he was doing a personal story about how he had used ChatGPT-4 to help his daughter out with an assignment or a study guide or something to kind of help her get a bunch of information so that she could study for a test.
4 being the optimal.
GPT-4 is what he used.
That's the key words.
And to me, while it was awesome, and yes, we use it for our kids. We pay for our son to have a GPT-4
premium
subscription.
Account. He has a premium account.
We are able to do that $20 a month. But when I think about the students that I have been in contact with on a
as a
daily
as a counselor
basis,
and an
as a
assistant principal
counselor, as an AP,
that were living in a tent.
as a teacher, those kids, that digital divide, we've got to address how those students are going to get access to advanced AI.
Do Microsoft is making some a lot of movement toward allowing AI to be available through their 365 account. Sounds good, except it's $20 per person per month, which the school district our size, there is no way we could ever
We
afford that.
cannot.
I'm hoping that Microsoft does what they've done in the past, which is give us a bulk discount kind of thing. I think there's a possibility that'll happen. Google may do it first. I wouldn't be surprised if Google does it first. However, they can't do the monthly per student. We're a small school. We got like 500 kids
At the high school.
at the high school. If you just look at the high school and you 500 kids times $20 a month, it's a big number.
It's a very big number.
We can't afford it. That's why I don't think we're ever going to get on a government panel, because I would say if you want to do anything to regulate these companies,
Have them do free
they
education.
at least
Free for
highly
education.
discounted.
Yes.
They
Highly discounted would be great. I mean,
I
I
don't
think
think the
that
government
schools would come up with it.
I don't know that. I mean, I guess you could argue the government should subsidize it. I think these companies that have taken, there's all these questions about all this data and all the jobs that people are going to put out of their jobs. At least part of that should come from the company. I mean, they should allow.
Well, it already does. There are a lot of companies who already have things that are free for educators.
Google does it.
Canva.
But-
I mean, and while like the Canva that's free for educators might not be like the professional version of Canva, it's what I used for years when I was in a classroom. They need to come up with a happy medium to where you know that these kids are going to be able to access and be trained on how to utilize advanced AI.
Just to get one more thing on my soapbox, and then we'll move on. The thing that bothers me the most, and as a parent and as an educator and as a human being, we're supposed to be training our kids to take over
The future.
The kids are literally our future. Do we want to train them on the tools that are
Secondhand
or just old or out of date? I mean, shouldn't the most advanced tools be in the schools? I mean, schools have been a training ground for people. Microsoft, Adobe, Google, all these people, all these companies have wanted these tools. But like when we go to get these tools to train the kids, we have to pay for them. And they give us discounts, but it's still expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, shouldn't we want our kids to have the lowest cost access to the most advanced tools? Because what's advanced today isn't going to be advanced 10 years from now. If a kid is in the 5th grade today, by the time they get out, what we're considered advanced AI is not going to be advanced.
Correct.
So anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox now.
Well, there is a way. There is a way. Where there's
I think there's
way.
enough smart people in this world, and I think there's enough people that have good intentions. I just think we need better leadership to lead us that can pull these people together and make them figure out this problem. We can make this work.
I think that there is such a huge disparity between what $20 means per month.
To some people, $20 is nothing.
To a lot of people, $20 is nothing. But what people keep forgetting is that it's the parent of the student that makes the decision.
And we're not saying parents have bad
No,
intentions. They've
but
got
they don't
to make
think about it.
Either they don't think about it, maybe they don't think it's that important, or maybe they're making choices like, do we buy a pair of shoes, or do we get a prescription? Our kids have worked at a pharmacy where they've seen little old ladies come in and have to decide whether they're going to take all their medicine because they're in the donut hole, whether they're going to take all their medicine or just part of their medicine.
Donut hole is something our listeners are not going to understand. It is a point in which Medicare doesn't pay for parts of your medications.
Yes.
And it usually happens about 3 months before the end of the year.
And then all of a sudden your medication that was $15 a month becomes $300.
Exactly. And it affected our kids. I mean, our kids really got to know
they did. That's why our daughter has a degree. One of her minors in healthcare administration because she wanted to get into that. Anyway,
okay.
We're off our soapbox about the digital divide.
Moving on.
We're moving on to more educational stuff. I thought this was interesting because one of the things that we both know because we've experienced it is that a lot of these AIs, including ChatGPT, doesn't do math very well. It's getting better.
It is.
I was one of the first ones probably to use the Wolfram Alpha plugin.
Yes.
And we got our kids, once again, we got our kids access to the full Wolfram Alpha.
Couple
So
$100 a year.
So they could get access to calculus level mathematics because Wolfram Alpha does great math.
Yes.
And
it
anyway,
explains it really well.
There was a plugin in there, so now the kids had access to both. This says that, I think it's coming from Google Deep. It's always coming from Google DeepMinds. But anyway, they are saying that this AI competes at a level of the International Mathematical Olympiad, which I didn't know there was such a thing, but apparently there is a mathematical Olympics. And
it's for geometry problems.
It's alpha geometry. It's an AI system that solves complex geometry problems at a level approaching a human Olympiad. This is Google because this is an article, deepmind.google.
And it does it really, really fast. It solved like 25 problems within the standard Olympiad time limit.
Yeah, it's sort of like, remember when the kids used to play chess with me?
Right.
And I would take an hour to make a move and it drove them nuts.
Right.
When they played chess, it was time chess. So I'm assuming these Olympiads are also timing how the mathematical problems.
In comparison, they give you a really good comparison here. Previous state-of-the-art systems solved 10 of the problems in the time frame, whereas now it's able to do 25 within the standard time limit.
Which is gold medal.
They do 25.5.9 problems.
Yeah, the gold medalists, the number one people at 25.9.
Yes.
Alpha geometry is at 25, which is better than a silver medalist.
Yes.
So they're right at gold medal level with this thing. Sounds like a big deal. I am hopeful because we always focus on education that this doesn't mean we're going to replace people. It means that we're going to get better tutors.
One-on-one.
One-on-one. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But yeah, the one-on-one.
One-on-one tutors.
It makes a big difference.
All right, let's move on.
It's a 2 sigma. We spent a lot of time stumbling over that last time.
2 sigma.
2 sigma increase. All right, so we're moving on.
And this is where our tutors come in.
This is good stuff right here. I'll let you read the headline. This is in cnbc.com.
A guy I follow on LinkedIn. Yes, I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn.
I can tell.
He actually posted this like a day ago.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that he is actually a professor at this university.
Arizona State
University.
So read the headline.
And Arizona State is going to partner with OpenAI. So they are the first partnership to be made public to where a university is actually partnering with the company that does ChatGPT.
The main thing these are the bullets of the headline, the key points. Maybe an AI wrote the key points. But the key points here is they announced a partnership. That's what you just said.
Yes.
So the second key point, that's the thing that
it's starting in February. They're going to have full access to ChatGPT Enterprise
with no caps.
That's
a big deal.
You run into caps.
We did that with Jared, the Japanese tutor that I created for Jared.
Yes.
About 15, 20 minutes into the conversation, he hit the cap because I think it was a time of day thing because I've talked longer than that before to the AI.
But he had to wait several hours before he
3 hours
talk Japanese again.
He did. So anyway, that's a big deal. What's the next thing is?
The partnership has been in the works for at least 6 months,
you didn't
so
read
they
the rest,
have been talking
you
about
didn't read the rest of the sentence.
And they plan
to use it for coursework, tutoring, research and more. Tutoring's the big deal. Over and over again, we talk about this.
It says here that ASU plans to build a personalized AI tutor for students, which allows students to create AI avatars for study help and broaden the university's prompt engineering course. But they're not just going to do it into your engineering classes. They're planning on having a tutor for students to help them with any of the classes that they take.
That's how I read this.
Well, go a little further.
We stumbled all over the place last time trying to explain what it means to have a personal tutor, but the one-on-one tutor, you're talking about a huge increase,
a huge impact.
I use it all the time to understand something better. Things that I've said it over and over again. That interview we did when we were at that science conference, and we talked about how we use AI and what I use it for. The fact that I can now understand complex papers better than I could in the past, it's having that. That's what I use it for, to take things that I don't understand very well and I get it to explain it to me in one way, and then maybe in another way, and then maybe in a third or fourth way. If you try to do, what happened to Rachel, our daughter, when she was in class and she would ask 1,000 questions?
It's very sad, but several of her teachers limited her to the number of questions that she could ask in a day.
Well, I can understand the teacher's perspective. I
Well,
mean,
I
if you
can
have one
too.
kid that's just
Well,
hammering you with questions,
and
you're not going to get anywhere.
Some kids, they're doing it to slow the class down.
Right.
So that they don't get to that test at the end of the period or, whatever. So some
Yeah.
students do it for nefarious reasons. Rachel truly wanted to have more information.
Yes.
What that child would have done if she had access to AI when she was in high school
was hit that rate limit a lot.
She would have hit the rate limit.
She would have hit it all the time.
Always has additional questions.
Well, she gets that honestly because we both do it. We both like to understand things at a deeper level, especially certain subjects that we're really interested in. And, I could see me just hammering somebody. I do it. Unfortunately, I do it to the point where the one thing about AI it's causing me to change my habits. If I'm talking to someone and I'm really into the subject and I tend to interrupt them when I understand what they're saying and I want to get to the next question, which is very rude.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really interrupt an AI.
No.
You can hit stop, but then it's going to stop everything. You can hit the X because I talk to it on my phone all the time. And I've even built GPTs and told it to only, summarize or only put 5 bullet points because it'll go through and list 10 things to explain something. I'm like, oh my, I don't want 10. I just want 4.
Mm-hmm.
I want to interrupt. I would love to have the AI where I can say, hold on. And it would pause.
It's coming.
It would pause and go, did you have an additional question? And I go, yes, I understand what you're saying, but now, go off on a new tangent.
I want to point out something about this study buddy thing that ASU is doing.
Is that what they're calling it? Or is
well,
that your term?
no, they're calling it something else, but they're going to use the GPT Enterprise to develop AI avatars, and they're doing it as creative buddies. They're calling it a creative buddy for studying certain subjects.
Yes.
It's like a bot that can sing or write poetry about biology, for instance.
That's cool.
Now, let's get into some educational background here. There are students who learn different ways.
We've seen it. We've made all kinds of adaptations for students with physical disabilities. The one that was the strangest for me was the one that the kid couldn't see certain colors.
But
so we had to have filters that they put on it.
I'm talking about some people are
auditory versus
they're auditory versus
that's
kinetic
me.
Versus duet.
That's me, by the way. I learn better listening and talking to someone than I do reading.
Well,
I don't learn very well reading.
There's lots of studies out there that you have to read, and you usually write papers on it whenever you're becoming an educator about all these different students.
Yes.
Our public education systems are always set up with the type, sit in your desk, listen to the lecture, so on.
Yes.
Well, with this, it's saying what caught me here was about it can sing or write poetry about biology. If I'm an auditory learner, if I could take my vocabulary and have a study buddy that's an AI and say, hey, I'm taking a biology class. I've got to know these 10 different terms or these 10 different things about biology. And then it creates a song that I can sing to myself or hear it out loud while I'm taking the test.
It's funny you mentioned that. There was a counselor at the elementary school years ago. I think she was a counselor. But anyway, she liked rap music. And her and I were talking about it. And I just really wasn't a fan, at least not at the time, of rap music. I just didn't care for it. And I said, I don't understand why people like that. She goes, oh, you have to listen to it. She said, it's like a poetry. It's a form of poetry or a form of telling stories or whatever. And I think when you think about that and you start talking about turning a biology lesson into a rap song, I've seen teachers online.
And you're talking college level.
Mm-hmm.
So some of these kids who are having to take biology are going to struggle with that biology class because it's a requirement, but that's not what they're getting their degree in.
Yep.
And for it to be able to personalize that to where that student can make a decent grade and not be so fearful of taking those exams, it blows my mind. I'm so thrilled with Arizona State University for doing this.
I would say if I had to do a biology class, that's a terrible subject for me.
Right,
I am so bad at biology.
We have 5 minutes left because we keep our podcast to right about 30 minutes. And I want to take just a couple of seconds to talk about what we're going to be doing over the next few weeks.
Okay.
Our life is getting busy again. We're getting toward the end of the year. We're starting to go ahead and there's some conferences that are going to be happening.
It's January, right? We're not really
I'm
that
talking about
close.
school year. I'm sorry. I forget. In education, you go from August to May.
So
that is your year.
we're on the downhill stretch.
We're on the downhill stretch of the school year. So there are schools out there that are starting to think about professional development and what they're going to be bringing in over the summer, what kind of webinars they're going to be offering for the teachers, who they're going to bring in the first few weeks of school. And so we're hoping that we get a lot busier. And
I was going to say AI Ed Pro would be great.
Yes. And thankfully we have enough days banked on our day job.
We do.
To where we can take some time off.
What did that guy say you read just the other day? Said something about, and for my evening job,
my evening.
We're in education. You have to have two.
AI consultant by night
and
professor by day.
That's kind of what we are too.
Which is why we do this on Sunday evenings. But what I wanted to say is we're going to be at the TCEA conference
in Austin.
The first week of February.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really looking forward. We are going as part of Llano ISD because I've
got to find some new partners.
We keep up with our vendors, and it's how we
absolutely
put
do it every year
to all those people that we order stuff from.
Do it every year except COVID and last year. Why did we not do it last year? Because we had an ice storm.
We were headed to San Antonio last year,
but anyway, I do like. I really meet with a lot of vendors. However, this year we've been asked to give some presentation,
which is an hour out of our day.
But you know what? That's how everybody that's speaking there is a teacher from a school district.
Yes. And so you speak for free. You don't get paid.
Yeah, we don't get paid.
You don't get paid.
But we do enjoy talking about it.
Yes, we do. And so I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to, I believe we're going to go meet with some people in Houston at some point in the next few months and do a presentation.
About the TETL conference?
Yes, for like technology.
Yeah, that one's not for Llano ISD. We'll be taking some time off to go do that one. That's not a Llano ISD conference.
Correct.
TCA is, TETL's not. We've spoken at a TETL conference before.
Yes.
Last summer.
But I am looking forward to it because I'm looking forward to just continuing to talk about artificial intelligence, continuing to talk about that digital divide that we always get on our soapbox about. The interview that we did at the science conference, STAT is on STAT 365. It's a 20 some odd minute
21
interview
minutes
where we're actually on a stage in chairs, have somebody talking to us. I enjoyed talking to him.
That's the key right there. You enjoy talking. That's why you like these conferences so much. I'm the tech guy. I answer the tech questions. I do talk some. You do most of the talking because you love doing it. You walk around and so I enjoy them. I have a good time at them as well. I don't enjoy talking as much as you do.
Okay. Wow.
And that's okay. Oh, wow. One of us has got to enjoy it a lot, right?
I do enjoy it.
Yes.
So we have just a couple minutes left. Is there anything else that you think our audience needs to know?
If you're around this area, they need to come see us at the TCA conference. There's actually quite a few different AI discussions going on. Most of the ones are probably going to be focused on using some particular tool. We do focus on some tools, but we really focus on the big ones.
Now, there's a difference in what we focus on. When you said we focus on a tool,
we don't.
We don't actually focus on a tool. We focus on
the tool that all the other tools
AI.
Use. Yeah, we focus on the AIs themselves.
We focus on what's on the back end. And we never want to say that there's a tool out there that's better or worse or is not good or is good, because
it's just different.
A lot of them are really good and a lot of them have really great interfaces. But it is key that if you are going to learn about AI in education, you need to learn how to actually use the back end product.
Well, ChatGPT is the back end product.
That's what I'm saying.
Which it doesn't feel like that to some people, but behind that is OpenAI.
Yes.
And almost all the tools you're going to find are using OpenAI. And it's going to be real hard for those people to make money. That's what we tell people all the time. It's really difficult because it's expensive to use.
So use it now.
So
use it.
We're fine with the tools, but we want to teach you what ChatGPT is, what Bard is. That's why I have 5 or 6 different ones. I use them for different things. It depends on what I'm using it for as to whether or not I use that tool. So.
Okay. Next time we will tell everyone about what you had to do with the Dell 4500 switch.
Oh, my
We're
Switch
go- we're
story?
going to talk
Okay.
about
We'll
that
talk about the
at
Switch story.
TCA, and we'll get to that on our next podcast.
Necessity is the mother of invention.
Yes, it is.
We'll leave it at that.
So that's it for this Sunday evening. We truly do thank you for listening, and we hope that you have a marvelous rest of the week.